Welcome to the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. As promised, we're taking a look at some top trade targets for the Cowboys to help fix that wide receiver 2 spot before the season begins, which the Cowboys have admitted is their top need right now. The Cowboys have a great number 1 in CeeDee Lamb. If you had to fill out a wide receiver room of like a bunch of 3s and 4s and 5s, Cowboys have a pretty solid one, actually. Tolbert put up numbers that are in line with a good wide receiver 3 season. We stay serviceable, if not above average, wide receiver 3 spot. Turpin can do some gadgety stuff. Mingo is, a flyer with talent. Brooks can block. Flanoy's got athletic ability. There's a bunch of other depth guys to compete for practice squad spots, everything else. It's just you don't have a number 2 right now. We made the comment. We all agreed going into March, hey, you need a better 2. You can't just go into the year with Lamb, Tolbert, Turpin, and Mingo. And post-draft, post-free agency, early waves in May, that's where we're at right now. So we're talking trades today, but how would you address that wide receiver 2 hole? T for you go trade for somebody, F for free agency, which is at this point kind of Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, nobody else, and N for nothing. You would do no moves. Nothing's required. Let me know in the comments of today's show. We'll begin with the most linked name to Dallas. That's George Pickens, the Steelers wide receiver, who from an on-field talent perspective instantly fixes your issue. The worst year he had was 800 yards. His worst year was better than Jalen Tolbert's best year. That's always a good sign on that front. Contractually, it's not complicated short-term. Pittsburgh has a $4.18 million cap hit for Pickens. They'd save $3.66, which is what the Cowboys would owe. So the cash and cap hit for the Cowboys would be $3.66 million. He would also probably want a new contract. And that's where I have issues here. George Pickens, the player, fixes the wide receiver 2 need. It's done. You've solidified it. Outside X receiver, you don't have that. I worry about George Pickens, the person, the character guy. I get the vibe that Schottenheimer wants to go back to the RKG, right kind of guy era that Jason Garrett liked. That's not George Pickens. Fined repeatedly by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh probably wants at least a second-round pick or at least a third-round pick for him, and I don't want to give that up for a guy that I would have interest in as a one-year rental. Seen many people suggest DJ Moore for the Chicago Bears. And again, with all these players, there's a but involved. Let's start positive. Holy cow, does he fix your wide receiver 2 spot. DJ Moore is 28 years old. He has averaged 1,000 yards over the course of his career every single season. The numbers dipped a little bit last year. The Bears' offense was terrible. It was the coaching staff's fault. They had no idea what they were doing on that side of the ball. Don't know how the relationship is between Eberflus and DJ Moore is worth mentioning. He's also owed a good amount of money. The Bears would only save $8.9 million if they traded him right now, $20.9 after June 1st. That is the Cowboys cap hit this year, $20.9. Also $24.5 the next 26, 27, 28, 29, 25, 26, and rolling guarantees for 2027, also a factor there. So you're paying him a good amount of money. It'd probably cost you at least a number 2 pick, but the biggest issue is why would the Bears do this? That's my problem. There are very few competently run NFL organizations that go, okay, we have our number 1 wide receiver. We've already paid him twice now, actually. Given an extension this time last year. We have a second-year QB, the number 1 overall pick, and a first-time head coach. Let's get rid of our best receiver, our best playmaker. That's not how NFL teams operate in almost all cases. Now, you can call and see if the Bears want to be stupid. I don't think they're going to be stupid. Now, if DJ Moore has issues this year or he's not a fit or he isn't happy with his role, you can reevaluate next year, potentially. But Luther Burden is a first-year player. Romeo Doubs is not ready to be a number 1 receiver yet. They took 2 tight ends. I get the weapons are there in Chicago. This is still their best one. I don't think he's available. Would love to be wrong, though. What is your confidence level in the Cowboys adding a good wide receiver? It is the pinned comment on today's show, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know 1 to 10 is your scale. Next up on the trade targets is Rashod Bateman, the Ravens wide receiver. Todd Archer never mentioned what the veteran wide receiver who was on who the Cowboys had trade talks with was. I think there actually is a scenario in which, maybe it actually was Rashod Bateman. He got paid this past offseason. It's not overly expensive. Is coming off his best year. But the Ravens still added DeAndre Hopkins. They've spent multiple early day 3 picks on wide receivers like Devontae Walker, for example. Maybe that's the sleeper name that we shouldn't have overlooked here. He does some good blocking stuff, has some size, coming off a better year. You'd owe him $4 million this year, non-guaranteed 6.75 next year. But if the Archer reporting is true, those trade talks are already dead in the water for the time being. He's still young. He's not a superstar player. He's probably more of like a high-end 3. I think he's better than Tolbert, though. And he's pretty affordable. Tyreek Hill is next up here. Some of these guys are like actual receiver ones, like DJ Moore and Tyreek Hill, right? Hill has been linked to trade rumors for so many of the past weeks and months here, in part because of his own comments and tweets, and I actually have a huge issue with that. It's kind of like the whole situation with George Pickens. The player undoubtedly helps you out. Even in a down year, he had almost 1,000 yards. The money's a factor here too, though. The new team would owe him $27.65 million in cash. That is a tremendous amount of money. It's a lot. The cap this year is only $14.97. Then it jumps to almost $40 million next year. I know Micah would love this. And Tyreek Hill drastically boosts this offense with his speed. But there's so much more extra you have to deal with. You got to deal with the diva, the personality, the off-the-field stuff, the drama he causes, sometimes on purpose. I don't really want to deal with that. Now, you can get the Cowboys draft gear, rookie jerseys, and the draft hats over at chatsports.com/Cowboys draft. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Also, hoodies from this year's NFL draft. The 2025 draft themes are available. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. chatsports.com/Cowboys draft. Romeo Doubs is next up here. Packers added 2 receivers. Christian Watson coming off a torn ACL. I don't know when he's going to end up being ready. So he's not really an option. I think Jaden Reed is a better player for Green Bay, offers the gadget stuff that they like. Doubs would be the one I think would be available. Here's my issue, and this is kind of the crux of the issue overall. Doubs had some suspension character stuff that raises some concerns there. If I told you a player caught 49 passes for 610 yards and 7 TDs, you'd say it's probably a little bit better than what Romeo Doubs did. Well, that player is Jalen Tolbert. I actually don't know if he's an upgrade. It kind of just feels like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. That's my, even though he's been over the course of his career, yes, but the last 2 years, it's like the Spider-Man meme with what Tolbert did in 2024. He is cheap, though. You'd owe him $3.41 million. This could also be a great option, like if somebody got hurt in your wide receiver room. That could be one you end up pursuing. Next up is Alec Pierce, the Colts wide receiver. Hey, Micah Pittman is awesome. Michael Pittman is awesome. He's not going to be available. Alec Pierce, sometimes benefited when, you've got the giant cannon for an arm, and Richardson throw ball far, Pierce go catch it. He fit, I don't know if he's a true 2 or if he's like a archetypal 2 in the sense of like he fits a certain role. I don't have speed on this team. Alec Pierce would give me some speed. He would give me some vertical threat ability to help open up some spacing. And maybe he's not a legitimate top-end 2, but he does fit the type of player I don't have. So that speed element for Alec Pierce kind of requires an A.D. Mitchell breakout in Indy. Actually does intrigue me. Also cheap, $3.66 million. Colts might hold on to him, though, because that regime is kind of needing to win now, and they might not want to get rid of a talented player. Name a player who you would like the Cowboys to trade for. Let me know that player's name. Keep it realistic in the comments section of today's show. Jalen McMillan maybe is one of the less available players, but I would call about him. Because the Bucs have Mike Evans, they have Chris Godwin, and they drafted Emeka Egbuka in round 1. So you can at least try. And McMillan was really good last year. 461 yards. He's a 3rd-round pick. I think he's a very talented player who they got going down the stretch last season. I think the Chris Godwin injury, Evans, meaning we're going to retire probably in less than 2 years or 2 years. They probably keep him, but if you can pull it off, yeah, I'm interested. He's dirt cheap over 3 years. It's probably why the Bucs end up keeping him. But this is one of those like, why not call? See what they say. Quentin Johnston is the other name on here. Fits the former first-round pick mold the Cowboys have loved for a while now. Johnston's coming off his best year. 711 yards, 8 touchdowns, has some great size, some dropsies as well. I think it is mildly concerning that the Chargers had Johnston come off his best year and said, let's bring back Mike Williams and draft Trey Harris. That's kind of an issue. They also don't save anything right now. They save $200,000 with a trade. So he's probably going to be on the team for at least one more year out in LA. Some more names we will discuss here that I just don't think make a lot of sense for the Cowboys. If the Cowboys, though, make a trade, we'll have a video for you. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. I want to remind everybody of this, too. It is May. And all these names we mentioned on today's show, all the free agents, they've all got key issues that could potentially prevent them from being the wide receiver, too. Maybe not outright deal breakers, but just things that are issues that might prevent a deal from happening. Now, there are 12 players I want to mention that I don't think are fits, that some of you might have mentioned previously. 6 guys that I just don't think they are available. Courtland Sutton. Denver doesn't have other good wide receivers. Do they want to walk in with Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant as the top 2 receivers? I don't think so. The Lions picked up the 5th-year option. They said they were on Jamison Williams. Probably means he's not available. Jerry Jeudy got traded once, had a nice year with the Jameis Winston pump-and-dump offensive stat scheme. Without him, their best receiver is Cedric Tillman and Jamari Thrash. Okay. Chris Olave coming off concussion stuff. Saints need him as an actual wide receiver 1. We're also going to have an injured Rashid Shaheed as the number 1 option. Garrett Wilson is not going anywhere in New York. That becomes the worst if you're going to the NFL if they trade him. Calvin Ridley is not going anywhere either. Yeah, the Titans drafted 2 guys in the 4th/5th early round, but they don't have anybody else that's good on that team at wide receiver. 6 names that I just don't think they're good enough. John Mechie III has not been productive. Sky Moore, draft crush, has not been good. Tyler Scott, draft crush for day 3 has not been good. Kayshon Boutte is sometimes booty. Jalen Hyatt is fast, but that's kind of it. Treylon Burks is actually bad. He can't even stay healthy or get on the field. So those guys aren't, they might not be better than Jalen Tolbert and Ryan Floyd. So at that point, it does not matter.